This week on RSBANDB Update, RuneScape membership prices are going up, and we discuss pricing, grandfathering, why some players are not happy, and adding value. Also the latest drop rates and accessibility of weapons, plus changes to the Masterwork two-handed sword and a primal armor. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1001, recorded Thursday, August 29th, 2024. Cheesymite subscriptions. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. Third time's the charm this week. Patreon members will know exactly what that's about, but of course, Tanis, you're here. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Shane.
Looking forward to a bit of a fiery discussion this week on numbers and dollars and cents.
Maybe, but I have more questions than answers.
All right, fair enough. Pernasius is also here. Welcome aboard.
Yes, back to assault your ears for the 6th week in a row. How's that?
Yeah, we got the two favorite Australians here.
That's it, 1 and 2.
That's right. But we'll be discussing the membership price change, drop rates, and some stuff coming down the pipe for mining and smithing and future 110 updates. But in the meantime, if you want to follow along, full show notes can be found over at update.show. We also have a friends chat in-game, which was popping earlier before the podcast. You can find that in-game at BitsBytes. And we also have the Discord over at update.show/Discord. But before we begin, I want to give a big, huge thank you to our experienced tier Patreon members for whom without RSBANDB Update would not be possible. That's Amos Reed, Andrew C., Bladecom, Drama Free, Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Mr. T, Ricky A., Rippeth, Runestar, The Naked Captain, Tim, and Truth Ray. Big, huge thank you to everybody for supporting the podcast. Episode 1000 goodies, as we mentioned last week, are in the process of being fulfilled right now. So look forward to that if you've signed up at this point. But more on our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the show.
And I just want to give a shout out to B.A. Baracus, Mr. T, being in there.
And I mean, hey, you can sign up with whatever Patreon name you want, whether it's your real name, your in-game handle, or Mr. T.
I love it when a plan comes together.
That's it. I might sign up as Elon Musk. Or I actually know even better, Donald Trump.
Oh, God.
Really excite Tanis.
If you did, we would be the greatest Patreon of all time.
All right, folks. Well, let's get going on some more down-to-earth things with the price changes here. So, yes. I'm going to, for the purposes of this segment, going to just talk in American dollars because that's going to be the simplest, rather than, moving between three currencies this week.
Come on, the ones that count.
Well, I mean, I don't want
to... Give me that one.
Like, I have reason to talk about the Great British Pound price because they're a British company. I have reason to talk about the Australian price because Pernasius is here. I have reason to talk about the Canadian price because that's where I am. And, of course, I have reason to talk about the U.S. price because that's where you are. So we're just going to go with the U.S. price to keep things simple here.
Yeah, we're the world's currency, man. You can spend American dollary dues everywhere.
So we're looking at membership prices increasing $1.50 a month from $12.49 to $13.99.
Okay.
For the 1 month price.
Uh-huh.
Now,
so $1?
$1.50.
Uh-huh. Okay.
We're looking at the Premier Club being $99.48 charged annually, which works out to $8.29 per month. And keep in mind, when it was on sale last year around Christmas time, it was about $6.67 per month.
Oh, Premier's going.
Premier is going up as well.
But Premier's going up like $2 a month.
Well,
essentially.
Well, no, less than it because it was $6.67 to $8.29, right? So less than $2.
Okay, so it's on par then.
It's on par with the other one.
Okay.
It's like just a smidgen more with that.
Got a little
Now,
more of a thing, but I'm sure we'll talk about that.
yeah, and see, that's the thing I wanted to talk about here. We're going to talk about the prices themselves, the optics, and what it means, for membership. But there's, an interesting thing that they specifically highlighted. Alongside in delivering great content every month, we're also investing in long-term impact projects too, like the new area expansion, the early technical exploration of a RuneScape API, and continued account security improvements via Jagex accounts. They said that the last time they changed memberships was over 2 years ago, despite global inflationary pressures. And they actually say in here that, this will be used to offset the cost of, the developers, of course, in that regard. That's what you can kind of, read into that in terms of the wages and whatnot, because I know people generally
Overheads.
like to hear that. So,
I mean, yeah, let's. I mean, I don't know what the UK's like, but in Australia, I mean,
yeah, everything's
electricity
going up.
prices have doubled over 2 years.
Same thing here.
Well,
Same thing here.
Okay, why does this not feel the same though?
What do you mean?
And I don't. So, okay, I almost feel like this is lower.
Like a lower increase than you were expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lower increase. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I thought it seems very small. Like I don't know. This doesn't seem like a big. This is what I expect. This does not feel like the hyperinflation.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And, if you look at the inflationary charts in terms of where the UK is at, where the US is at, and so on and so forth, and you apply these to the membership prices, you're on track to hit that mark. It's as simple as that. It really is.
You know what? Okay. This is just pure speculation. But could it just merely be like at another point, like when bonds were increased, there was just so much inflation fatigue that it felt different. Like to me, it felt different.
Well, and I'd also say
This doesn't feel as bad.
I'd also say that bonds are more discretionary than membership, because everybody that I've seen this week who has an opinion on this towards the negative is looking for a way, to talk about it and air their grievances on it. And the reason they're doing that is because they put an inherent value on the game of RuneScape. So as a result of that, it's easier to stomach this increase of $1.50 monthly than it would be for the discretionary prices of the bond. That's my take on it. Because I see bonds as entirely, optional. Yeah. So as something becomes more discretionary and more optional, you are going to question more if you need it when the price goes up. So that's exactly what was happening there with that.
And even okay, and yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I don't know if we ever talked about this, but I was just looking around, how you do on Steam, this and that. We have a fairly low monthly rate for games that you can do memberships for, like MMOs.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that? Like it's $13.
Right.
$13
and then you get to a really
low.
Interesting thing about that though. Compare that to something like ESO Plus, right?
Yeah.
You get multiple characters with that, though you do have to buy the game and you buy the expansion yearly on that.
Yeah.
And what I've also seen is that it's opened up a discussion amongst people is that, well, if we're talking about increasing prices and, increasing the value, at what point does Jagex say, well, the membership is on the Jagex account and you're going to be able to create as many accounts as you want with that? But I don't think that that's something they're willing to do yet, emphasis on yet, at this point, because we've talked about a long time how the new player policy for RS3 at this point is to have people make more characters. Or so it seems.
What if instead of just well, I mean, there's always going to be a place for seasonal things like the ones that we love, not holiday things, seasonal things. What if they just had different RuneScape?
What do you mean?
You know, they had like a Darkscape version. They had a XP Gone Wild. Where basically
Yeah.
just servers were with different things.
Right, that you could play differently.
Mhm.
But see, here's the thing about that, and you get into the argument, well, you have one membership on Old School and you can do leagues, you can do Deadman, what have you, right?
Mhm.
And effectively what you're looking at this point is that every membership entitles you to be logged in once to RuneScape. And I think what people are looking for at this point in time, when they always talk about the prices, is they want to be able to be logged in more than once.
Well, on like RS3 and on Old School
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, or
I'd love that, but
on different characters. But
And you're right, that is what the number one thing, right?
that people
are
always wanted with
for.
that is
Yeah.
multiple account support. But
RuneScape players are RuneScape players.
yeah, I just found a
are
graph
for-
here from the Old School subreddit. Starting in February 2002 through August 2008, the price was $5 a month. Then it went up to $5.95, and that persisted from August 2008 through January 2012, where it went up to $7.95 a month. Then in March of 2015, it went up to $9.49 a month. So there's that $1.50 increase again. And then June 2018, it goes up from $9.49 to $10.99, so another $1.50 increase. Then in May of 2022, so that's a 4-year streak there, June 2018 to May of 2022, it goes up to $12.49, and then here we are in September 2024, we're up to $13.99.
And I think 2020, 2021, no one was really looking at doing increases.
No.
What was going on and just being there for the player,
Yeah, exactly. And, when you consider the fact everything that we saw from 2021 to now inflationary to $13.99, you get to that $13.99 price. And I don't know about you guys, but grapes at this point have kind of become a luxury.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my Spotify, I've got a family Spotify, which, has gone up $4 in the last 2 years. It went up $2 last year. It's gone up another $2 this year.
Yeah.
I don't listen to it much, but the rest of the family does. My Netflix account, which now can only be used in my house. It was okay before when it was sort of all the family, but I live here by myself. When my son and daughter could use it as well, it was great. But even that has gone up from, it was $14.99. I'm now paying $17.99.
And that's a point I want to make. Are you getting more value out of RS, or are you getting more value out of Netflix?
In all honesty,
it's RS
more
for
time
me.
Exactly. I spend more time on RS than I do anything else. And it is the cheapest thing. Or, I get the... I buy the Premier Club every year. So for me, Australia, it's $20 a month, but on Premier Club, it is the same. It's $11.99 a month, and that's great value.
Here, let's think about this. And this is going to break the hearts of probably the people that are the most unhappy about this. But what if you broke down the number of hours you played RuneScape over a month, and then divided that by what you pay a month, even at the highest rate?
Yeah,
I bet it's pretty good value for the hour.
Exactly. If you're playing 10 or 12 hours.
But here's
week,
the thing: nobody who is presently subscribed is getting a price increase. You will get a price increase when you buy your next Premier Club, but if you're month to month, you can keep the price you're on for as long as you want, according to the FAQ. There's an interesting bit in the terms and conditions that makes it look like grandfathered rates might not be a thing, but I'm electing here to trust the FAQ on the price change over the terms and conditions here. Because the way it looks in the terms and conditions, it makes it sound like that grandfathered rates might not be a thing in the terms and conditions, but I'm electing to believe specifically what they talk about in terms of the first FAQ item and the grandfathered membership rate question, based on those two, I'm willing to believe that we're going to continue to have grandfathered rates.
Yeah. I would say they're continuing. That's the only reason it's in the terms and conditions like that is so that in the future, if they do need to change it, it's there that they can change it.
Right.
But at the moment, it says we will continue to honor the same price you're paying as part of our grandfather rate.
Right.
So they come right out and say that straight away.
And see, this creates an interesting dilemma for me. Do I buy this Premier Club at the end of the year for what is going to be, $10.79 a month Canadian? Is it worth that extra $5 a month to get things like the Premier Artifact, the extra Treasure Hunter key, the free boss instance, and whatever else it's going to have this year? Is it worth me to do that, or is it worth me better to go back to the $5 a month plan? And that's a question I'll be asking myself come Premier Club time this year. So,
see, for me, obviously, I'm not on it. I've had Premier Club since it's existed, so I'm happy to do that. And I don't mind price increases because, hey, it's supporting the game I love. I understand, people don't work for free. As I said, here in Australia, over the last 2 years, our supply charge has gone from 25 cents a kilowatt to 49.5 cents a kilowatt. So it's basically doubled in price. Things go up. $1.50 if it goes up $1 a year or $1.50 a year, so what? So be it. That's what happens with everything. You expect that. $12 a month for me is great value. As I said, I'd still love to see a platinum Premier Club where they include the rune metrics.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hang on. Before we get to adding more value here, I want to talk about the
value.
Before value, I want to talk about the optics, because we need to first understand, of course, that the optics of this, coming off the heels of the player value survey and Mob Pip's post last week, doesn't look too good. We need to understand that at first before we start talking about value here. Because
does someone have a calendar? They got calendars, right?
Yeah.
Because this kind of looks like, remember when we said that we might, there could be, and even though most people should realize, like, this is totally independent, because I swear this was announced. I thought this was announced a while ago.
You're thinking of the bond price increase?
No, this is I don't know, but
I also want to point out that another thing that's making it look like bad optics is the fact that these price changes are coming in a month before Group Iron Man is slated to come out.
That's true.
Well, okay.
And you're going to need to pay for that extra Group Iron Man character, of course.
Well, yeah. Ooh. Hence why they're not giving us what we really want. Okay.
Which is that platinum membership, which we'll talk about after. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see where the optics come in into why this is, looking like not a good thing.
And I didn't even think about it like that.
But that may also be why, hey, it's only $1.50. We could have increased it $3, but, we're looking at this. We are bringing out Group Iron Man and such. So, hey, we'll meet you in the middle type thing. That's if you had someone out there doing your media circuits and these type of things, that's what you would be pushing more. Hey, we're looking at it. We wanted a $3 increase, but with everything else happening, we've decided to go halfway and that type of thing.
Like, is this something that accounting just put out and it didn't go through CM to at least make it feel like it was better timed and have that yesterday or last week with the Mod Pips post? Because, like we see, what happens here is this is a continual cycle where Jagex does good with the content. Something happens on the monetization front. It doesn't get responded to correctly, and you lose the goodwill that's been built up over this. We've been clear here up to this point on this show that this isn't going to make or break us. It might make or break some people out there, but the thing is, it comes down to how it looks.
Yeah.
But my response to
the optics do look bad.
Right, and my response to this is that if you have a significant concern about this in terms of Jagex's ethics in relation to doing this, the best way to let them know is not complaining about it on Reddit. It's to cancel your membership and get 5 to 10 of your friends to do the exact same thing. I hate to say that, but that's the only way that works in a situation like this.
But the other thing to remember is that they are different departments.
Exactly.
So quite often the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
Yeah, you know that because the people who are, based on what we were talking about in pre-show, the people who are selling and marketing the TVs and the flyers for you when you work there are not the same people who are setting the prices on those, are they?
Exactly.
Well, to me, the optics, the worst part of it, is saying that we're going to listen, and we already knew that people were probably taking that in stretching it
into mean things that that
and,
were beyond possible, like removing Treasure Hunter.
Right, but even then, to come back right after that with a price increase, and while I think it's independent, price increases just don't work like that. They're planned.
They're baked into the yearly corporate schedule.
Yes. So, in reactions, which I mean, I guess that was, but see, that's it though. That really wasn't a reaction to anything, was it? Because to me, it felt like it came out of left field.
Which the
monetization stuff with mod pits.
But did it come out of
I felt like
survey?
It did.
Because a survey asked us how much would you pay.
You're right. It did say that.
But to be fair, you operate with a different clientele than the average RS player does, Tanis, in terms of people who spend money on the game.
I guess
in terms of people that you know, right? So,
yeah.
Like, how much did you and your friends spend in those last few weeks of Fresh Start Worlds on keys, right? That's not how what the majority did.
I mean, you think?
I don't think so. No.
I mean, okay. I bet a lot of people dropped at least a bill towards the end.
Anyways,
I wouldn't. Yeah.
But and see, that's the point I think to note is that looking at this from a very corporate angle.
Jagex, I'll pay twice as much next time. Do it again. I'll pay more.
What?
I would, dude. That's how much fun it was, and bring back.
Oh,
the
for
capes.
Fresh Start,
Come
you
on.
mean?
Yeah, I'll do it again. I'll pay more.
and see, that's
right. I mean, what if you could just pay for content like that, right?
Right, and that's the thing that I say about this is that it comes down to optics and having that view as you would normally have from the corporate world, right? Because not everybody who plays RS is familiar with balance sheets and how businesses are run in terms of, like looking into them and making payroll, and even how, business taxes are different than filing your personal taxes. Trust me, after you've done corporate taxes for a couple years, you are going to look and see it as a pleasure to hire somebody to do those corporate taxes for you. But it underscores that the corporate world is different than the world that we look at from just playing the game. And as a result of that, it goes to what you said about, these are baked into the corporate strategy a year down the line, to the point where they know, September 2024 is coming up. We might have to, have a look at what membership prices are doing at this point, given, the financial constraints.
Yeah.
And it just makes smart business sense to get that in before Group Ironman. Dare I say it?
Oh, definitely,
but,
yeah.
I mean, I guess. But wouldn't they just be looking at it like it's a new year? Um, and I mean, I don't know. It looks so far, according to the roadmap, it looks like we're getting, dare I say it, good value for the money, which is all it comes down to.
Yep.
September is autumn over there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's our spring. Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, summer is always their biggest increase as people come out of school and such, and you will sign up for a membership for 3 months and such. So maybe it's also, okay, we're trying to get people to lock in those grandfather rates, so we're going to grandfather it, so you'll continue that membership going through and maybe hold it a bit longer.
You know what the smart thing would have been to do with
that
this? It would have been to roll out the next year's Premier Club now and give that at a lower price.
Are we coming back to the Premier?
Yeah. Let's talk about value. Let's talk about
Mm.
value, because it comes down to the fact that if you don't see the value in the game, or you see that this is too much, or you don't like this price increase, your only logical action is to stop paying at this point. So that's the way I think it lands. Your only logical action is to stop paying. If you don't like the price increase, you have some problem with it morally, or you don't see the value in it. So let's add some value to RuneScape membership then. And, you know, like I said, this is something I'm going to be looking at come Premier Club time. With Yak Track and Hero Pass being gone, what am I getting extra out of my Premier Club for now $5.79 a month compared to paying $5 a month? I get the Premier Aura, or sorry, not the Aura, the Premier Artifact. I get, you know, the dump of loyalty points, which you get a certain amount of loyalty points from being a member regardless. And, you know, overall, I just don't use a lot of the Premier benefits that come with it, so I'm questioning the value of it for me going forward. I don't know how you guys feel, what you guys would like to see in terms of adding more value to the RuneScape membership.
Yeah. It's, for the longest time, I didn't think Premiere had enough packed into it. And maybe the first few years, maybe it didn't. But then it started getting really good to a point that I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I even
like the Yak Track years,
Premiere.
right?
The Yak Track years, and I mean, just there was a time, you know, when you're getting, there was like remember the Maserati Aura and different stuff. It seemed like it was really good. There was a lot packed into it, but what was packed into it wasn't. So when I pay for membership, I expect I'm paying for what is going to be added, what the game has, and what is going to be added over the next year.
Yeah.
And I look at that as every Premiere should be like all, you know, the addition, right? Like I don't know.
It should make you feel special as a person to have.
That too would be nice.
It's like
I don't
like what I want Premier Club to be is I want Premier Club to be the experience of when you go to the airport and you get to use one of the executive lounges.
Yeah, that would be nice. And so, like, you know, maybe some servers set aside, right? Which maybe
we got one.
There are, I know, but like, what if we had like a really good one?
What do you mean a really good one?
I don't know. Just like, I'm sure not all are created equal, right? I'm sure that a little this or a little that, a little Jimmy Jazz, you could make it faster, better.
Maybe.
Lighter.
I don't know. Like, it runs the same software. Like, let me just run down the Premier Club list right now. So aside from the year membership, it's 150k loyalty points, an extra treasure hunter key, a month of double keys, a Premier reward token, or 3 of those
now,
rather.
Sorry, can I just jump in with those Premier reward tokens?
Yeah, they're useless, right?
Yeah, I've had Premier Club since the start.
Thank you.
I have the last 3 years. They've just been gathering up because everything's already unlocked. So that really,
Yeah.
that's a slap in the face to those of us who have been sort of loyal all the way through, because we get nothing out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Give
loyalty
us,
points,
like, here's
you
an
don't
idea
use-
for the Premier Reward token. Let us pick a legendary treasure hunter item, like one of the things that was put up for like the very rare tier on Treasure Hunter, like one of the dyes or one of the cosmetic overrides. Let us pick one of those. Let me get Azure Sunshine with one of my Premier things.
Yeah, or even 3 of them. You know?
Yeah. So okay,
yeah,
so that's something
they need better value on those Premier Reward tokens.
You get a 50% Rune Metrics discount, and the reason they don't give that out to everybody, they don't give everybody who's Premier member Rune Metric, is apparently the servers couldn't handle it with all the data coming in. That's the reason.
Suck. I mean, that's too bad.
You also get the Premier Artifact, which is hit or miss on what I use, if I remember to use it. That's probably what I use the most.
Yep.
Premier Vault, I don't use that.
Never.
Radiant Crusader outfit, Radiant Crusader Drake pet, the VIP world, the free boss instance once per week, monthly drops including 1,000 oddments, the 100 bank space. That's useful.
That is very useful.
That's probably the most valuable.
Access, and see, here's the thing: it's still on the list from last year's access to Premier Pass event.
And they've given us no events this year.
Yeah, and then chat badge a game, and of course, old school Premier membership. It's like,
yeah.
Well, I have a feeling the last event they had in mind didn't.
No, it didn't.
Well, of course, yeah, that's it.
Right.
Now, I mean,
and see, here's the thing.
Pets,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, outfits and pets are great. You know, they're fine. I have no issue with that. The 100 bank spaces is fantastic. The Premier Artifact, yeah, if you remember to use it, that's great. I'd love to sort of just be able to access it. Oh, I need that. Right-click something to get it.
Well, to be fair, if you go into the Aura interface, you can reset an Aura with that.
Reset an Aura, that's the only thing you can do, but you can't do your 10% XP and the other things that it does. The free boss instance a week, yeah, I really think if you have a 12-month bundle, that should be, you get one a day.
No, all boss instances should be free if you're a free member.
Free, yeah.
Yeah. The VIP Premier World access, when I was doing my Abyssal Beasts for chasing 200 mil Necromancy, that was great because so many people do those AFK. So I could always jump on the VIP world, and 99% of the time it was empty there. Yeah, oddments are great, but yeah, the Premier Vault doesn't really offer much. I think I don't think I've actually used it this year. But yeah, things like the Premier Reward tokens and things. Well, if you've had it for a while, it's great for new people, but for people who've had Premier Club all the way through, it's a waste. I mean, the first Premier Club was brilliant. We got 2,000 rune coins. We got a legendary pet, I think, or that might have been the year after. But you know, we got some really
that's
great value that first one.
Yeah.
Now I do it because hey, it's a discounted rate, and I like to pay things yearly because it's just easier for me to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, I think that's one way of doing it. I think that's one way of doing it, is really leaning into the Premier Club aspect of it. That's one way. I know another thing that has been suggested and I think would be interesting to pursue, but I don't necessarily know at what point this would become viable money-wise for Jagex. Have a Platinum membership that gives membership for your entire Jagex account. It might have to be, you know, the price of 4 or 5 monthly memberships for it, but, you know, give people that Platinum membership. Give those people access to Rune Metrics with that, right? And in addition to that, I don't know. Maybe up the ante on the kind of treasure hunter stuff that those accounts get, rather than 3 keys, give them 6.
Yeah, there is value in the treasure hunter keys. That used to be a much, I don't know, bigger draw, I guess.
And see, that's interesting, because I don't feel compelled to log in for my daily keys.
I know, but if you add them up and then look at like how much they cost, I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty good value. Actually.
And also the keys. Let's not forget the keys that a new account gets from questing.
Well, yeah. Can't forget those, huh, Shane?
No, we can't. I was going to bring up questing at some point. See, but that's the thing. Where do you add value in the RuneScape membership? I feel like our discussion that was shepherded in last week by Mod Pips and with the player value survey was too focused on microtransactions and not focused enough on the value for regular members and Premier Club members.
What if you had the on your 12-month bundle, you got a 15% discount on bonds?
Oh, that would
things like that. Yeah, I think we get a bit of a discount.
Again, that's something I wouldn't use, but
no, but that's it. I mean, I wouldn't use it either, but that's something that sort of gives that value and will increase bond sales. I mean, I think we already get a discount on Solomon's store. I don't think it mentions it there, but I think we do.
It's 10%.
Exactly. 10%, yeah. Well, even they do a 10% discount on bonds. But, you just give people something that gives them value that people are going to perceive as good value. And
that I would pay for.
Yeah, if you give a 10% discount on bonds, so what's a bond? $6-8?
$9.99.
Okay, they're $10. So you get a 10% discount. That's $1 off. Can you imagine how many more people with Premier Club would then say, "Oh, well, hey, I'm getting that discount anyway. Yeah, let's buy it. Let's buy a 10-pack of bonds."
It would entice me to buy more. In fact, I'd be like, "Oh, that just wiped out the increase. I'm so happy with that."
Sorry, that bond price was $9.99 Canadian. It's $9 US.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. So you get a 10% discount. So 90 cents off. It's not a lot of money, but that 10%, saying you're going to get 90 cents off, or you're going to get 10% off. 10% off is, oh wow, look, I'm getting a 10% discount. Great, I'm going to buy a pack. Those type of things are what they need to be looking at, true value for money.
In marketing, how you feel, because that makes me feel good.
Well, I mean, marketing
I want that. I want more.
And it comes marketing down to actually getting your customers to do something.
Yes.
Because if you can get them to do something,
and to
they're more likely
to
buy.
about doing it. Yeah. Exactly. You don't want buyer remorse. You want people to feel good. Oh, look, I got a 10% discount. They're going to feel good about that.
And that's why Premier Club always comes around with Christmas, around the Christmas event, because everybody wants to, take part in the Christmas event and, use the new cosmetics that came with Premier Club.
Here's the other thing.
Never used the cosmetics, but yeah.
Is there any reason why they made it so that you can't get Premier with bonds, which are money that has been spent? I mean, it basically gift cards, right?
Can't you? I thought you could get.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No.
Not anymore.
Oh wow! When did they change that?
I believe that had something to do with the duel arena.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks.
You can buy membership. Oh, like just straight up membership. Or no, hang on. No. You can buy Premier with bonds. It costs 20 bonds.
You can?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's good then too. So you can. Okay.
So right now, that Premier Club membership costs $2.5 billion in terms of what the bond price is.
This is what Premier Club gave the first year. They gave you the 10% discount in Solomon's store. They gave you a Paladin outfit. They gave you the extra daily spin, because that's when we had Squeal. They gave you a priority beta access pass for everything coming out in 2.13, which, I don't think I ever used that. But 2,000 rune coins. Then there were the cosmetic items, and there was a draw to win a trip to Jagex HQ.
And those rune coins you could actually use for like a legendary pet. You get something like good for it. Like
that's it.
You know.
But the next year you actually got a legendary pet.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And I guess my problem with the loyalty points is
another useless shop.
Yeah, I mean it's auras, but who
like if you have the auras that you want, the hairstyles
right.
and the emotes that you want, you have no use for loyalty points.
But even then, a long-term player like we are, I mean, you nearly have everything bought. Like it's, I mean, everything that, yeah, like you said, Shane, like everything that you would ever want. I mean, I've got just BS titles.
Which you're not going to use.
Whatever. Yeah, no, I mean, but I got them.
Well, that's like, I mean, I have this, I'm a bit OCD in that I have to unlock everything in game. I'll never use it, but I have to unlock it if it's there. You know, all the cosmetics and that. I want that. I've got to get it. I unlock it, and it just sits there, and I don't even look at it. But I've unlocked it.
So the thing that I'm taking from this is that they just need to add more value to Premier Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely need more value to Premier Club. Yeah.
As I said, I mean those tokens, they need to do something for, long-term Premier Club players with those tokens, and just add something. As I said, a 10% discount is. Yeah, it's not a big thing off their bottom line, and it'll increase the loss that they'll take on the sales. They'll more than make up for in increased sales.
That's what we say, but we don't have the numbers.
Well, yeah, but I mean
that's true. I mean,
from a marketing background, I mean, when we used to do things when we'd say, you get one of this, but if you buy 4, we'll give you a 10% discount. The amount of people that would buy 4 and probably never use the extra ones, but they'll buy them anyway, Yeah. I mean, I go down to Baker's Delight sometimes, and I can buy one Cheesymite scroll for I think it's $3.70.
Cheesymite. Wait, hold on. Stop.
You haven't had a Cheesymite scroll?
What is a cheesy? Is this like Vegemite?
Oh,
what is going on with the ites and the mites and
it's
my land
Vegemite,
down under?
It's Vegemite and cheese in basically a scroll,
That sounds disgusting.
It is delicious. You put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And it is made. So you go down there. It's $3.70 each, or 2 for $6. I always buy 2 for $6. Half the time, the second one sits on my on the bench and gets thrown out. But because I feel like one of those. But I always buy the 2 because sometimes I'll eat it, but most of the times it sits there and I forget about it. But that extra value for money is what people look for, and it's it's what's there. That's why a lot of the shopping centres now, you go down there, you'll buy like our steaks. It's $8 each, or 2 for $15. They'll do that, so you buy that extra one each time. You're getting that extra value.
Damn, that's reasonable beef.
It's very thin though.
Hey, we might just be splitting hairs here. Because I don't believe that you actually get any extra benefit for buying Premier Club, except for the year-long membership for Old School.
Yeah. And the 100 bank spaces.
So I'd say, maybe this is more of a question for the Old School side. In terms of, who's getting less value. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the topic for the OS show. We'll have to see if we want to go there this weekend on that.
That ought to be an interesting one. Okay.
Yeah.
You're really the only,
because we can't do any of those other things on Old School. You don't have loyalty points. You don't have the cosmetics. You don't have the yada yada yada. Right?
Yeah.
So you're just looking. You're just looking at the increased membership price and the extra price for the year on that. So,
Oh man, that's like totally railroaded the OS players. Oh man.
which is
Oh.
interesting. I think that they might be getting the shorter end of the stick in this, all things considered.
Yeah, they got railroaded.
But
hey, they didn't want microtransactions, so you can't incentivize something that you don't want to exist.
yeah.
I mean,
Anyways, I think that's probably enough on that, unless you guys have anything else you'd like to add at this point, because I feel like we've covered the key points of the prices, the grandfathering, the optics, and how to add value.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters because, everybody there loves the value that we provide in that. This week, I'd like to thank Alvaro L., Amos Reed, Andrew C., Arvid L., Bladecom, Brayton K., Gilbura, Daniel W., Dominic R., Drama Free, Duramax, Gila Fleur, Jacob G., Jade Gizmo, Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mongrath, Mr. T., Pernasius, Rick A., Ripeth, Robbie D., Runestar, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Targagine, The Naked Captain, The Dabbing Goat, Tim, Truth Ray, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you to our Patreon members. This week we have just finished recording the Quest Tier List Desert Edition, and this will go out next week to go in concert with RuneScape's return to the Desert storyline. So that's part of our monthly bit. That's our monthly bonus show that we do, talking about one specific topic monthly. We got a whole back catalog now, definitely north of 70 of them. So if that sounds interesting to you, you want to access that, you can access that for as little as $1 a month. We have all sorts of content on there. Legacy Combat, looking at EOC, holiday events, tier lists on Dailyscape, skills, PVM, quests, and so much more. Patreon.com/RSBANDB for as little as $1 a month. We also have the VIP tier, where for $3 a month, you get a mention on the podcast at the start of the month and access to a high-quality stereo version of the podcast each and every week. And we also have the Insider tier, where for $5 a month, you receive a shout-out on the podcast each and every week, and you gain exclusive access to the outtakes that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year, in addition to the RSBANDB Update Christmas card. Of course, people will know that I mentioned at the top of the show, the Insider tier and the Experience tier will be getting episode 1000 goodies to celebrate 1,000 episodes of this podcast. I've just been working on fulfillment in spare time on this this week, and the bulk of those will be out, I think, by Monday or Tuesday next week. So definitely look in the mailboxes for those if you've elected to share Patreon shipping info with us. But patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much, everybody. It means the world to us. We're pushing beyond 1,000 right now. So just a big, huge thank you to everybody out there. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys. And the prize for the 1,000 show isn't a Shane Tannis bobblehead.
No, it's not. But
we'll do that for 2,000.
But there was a topic of, maybe we could do something 3D printed or something sculpturized or something next year, maybe. But all right. So continuing on from that, we got some numbers last Friday about drop rates, and we're going to start with the Daemonheim Archaeology ones, then work our way into the PVM centric ones after that. Yeah, so I know you were hanging out down there, Pern, for the offhand, right?
Oh, that's ridiculous, yeah.
So let's start with the sash brush. This is the one that you get at the Daemonheim dig site. The first piece at the lowest level is a 1 in 22,400 chance. The second piece is 1 in 17,300, and the third one is 1 in 11,200.
Okay, so let me grab my calculator here.
Tier 2 luck increases drop chance by 1%, Tier 3 luck by 2%, and Tier 4 luck by 3%. This is done by dividing your top rate by 100, then multiplying it by 99, 98, and 97, depending on your luck tier. So yeah, They're very rare.
So I have, because I've done 525 pieces at Traveller Stations, the artifacts I've got out of there, and an artifact drops around every 75 pieces, the bits that you get to make them. So my drop rate is 39,375, and I still haven't got one. So I am, 3.5 times over the drop rate without getting one. And I have a T3 luck, or T4 luck, because I have my my dwarves ring.
I think this is what we expect for skilling off ends.
Yeah, I mean, if I
Yeah.
got one in 11,000, I'd be really happy. One in 40,000, not
Because
so much.
1, there's 0 risk associated with it. 2, you
Yep.
can do it AFK.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's time. That's all it is.
Yep. I was thinking that this is this is still probably less than the tip, spear tip.
Let me look that up. Masterwork spear tip.
Feels less.
Yeah, that's 1 in 50,000.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there
that took
you
me
go.
to-
There you go, Vern.
That took me 320 million XP to get one.
Meanwhile, I got 3 in a
Yeah.
fraction of that.
Shut up.
Yeah, I've gotten 2. I got 2, man.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
throw that back to last week on the old school side. I got my farming pen, which is like 1 in 90,000.
Damn.
That's right, yes.
But so there's that side of it. Then we have the hunter one, which is actually a lot more sane. So the Hypno Wand focus, which comes from any Rex Matriarch, is 1 in 500.
Well, that's a boss. Oh, yeah, that's a boss, so that's fine.
The Hypno Wand projector, which comes from the agility course, is 1 in 3,500 from each obstacle on the agility course. Holy crap. You got to be in for the long haul on these.
Mm-hmm.
How many obstacles are there in a run, though? There's 24 obstacles in a run, so
Yeah.
that's 150 odd runs. That's not bad.
That sounds like what people were saying, I think. The one that comes from the Vile Blooms, the Hypno Wand handle, is 1 in 1,400, 1 in 1,750, and 1 in 2,500 from the various Vile Blooms, depending on their level. And then, interestingly enough, the base from Big Game Hunter is the most common at 1 in 150. And each preferred activity will drop a specific piece 70% of the time and a random piece 30% of the time.
Oh, I thought they dropped in order, so you got one and then...
No. So the way it works is that the base, the handle, the projector, and the focus, each of those has a preferred drop rate from the thing. But all the other ones are less common because of that 70-30 rule.
Yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, I'm still thinking of the brush where they drop.
And you know, when you compare this to something like the core hammer and the what's the name of the woodcutting one? The fire torch. When you compare those ones together with that, and you look at, you know, the price they are at Croesus, I feel like that kind of makes sense in terms of the sense that we got here, that these actually come from the skilling side, and they're, you know, I want to say rare, but I don't think they're stupidly rare.
Unless you have really bad luck.
Because they want them to, I feel like these are items that they want to, you know, be accessible from the specific skill, but at the same time, they want them to feel special.
And I think it hits that.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Oh, it definitely does, yeah.
Moving on to Osseous, the Heart of the Berserker is 1 in 200, which, you know, we knew from previous Rex Matriarchs. The Occultist Ring is listed as 2 out of 399, rounded to 1 in 200, because there's a 1 in 133rd chance to hit the loot table with a 2/3 chance to receive an occultist ring and 1/3 chance to receive the jail cell key. Meanwhile, the jail cell keys themselves are 1 in 399, with a 1 in 133 to hit the table, followed by the exact same 2/3 chance above to hit the occultist ring. So now we see why those jail cell keys were so expensive, and why people were up in arms about the trim wreck on those.
Mhm.
You guys did you have a problem with that when that came out?
No, I mean, I sort of gave up on it while I was chasing 200 mil all, but I mean, 1 in 400 for the jail cell keys, I don't think is. I mean, it's not a difficult boss. I mean, I can do it
you can
fairly
AFK it.
easily. So, well, I can't AFK it, but yeah, I mean, I can do it easily without food. So, yeah, I think a 1 in 400 for the jail key is fine.
And I mean, when you look
1
at
in
it too,
200
that's
for the
an
ring's
interesting
fine.
moneymaker, because those are 92 mil right now.
The occultist rings?
No, the keys.
I didn't think the keys were for
Yeah,
sale.
the GE
I thought
price
you
lists
had-
the key as 92 mil.
Oh, wow. Because that's to release all the little 4 dinosaurs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The
thought you had
occultist ring
those
is
as a
about
drop.
32 mil, which saw it increase due to everybody doing Sanctum of Rebirth. So then we get to the Sanctum itself in this, and this was the thing that had everybody talking here this week. So I'll start with the basic ones. So to specifically get any book like the Scripture of Amaskid or the Divine Rage, it's 1 in 90 to hit the drop table, but when you work it out, it's 1 in 180 to get either the Scripture of Amaskid or Divine Rage. Okay, fine. The book pages are 1 in 10. But here's where it gets really interesting. The tier 95 wand, there's a 1 in 50 chance to land on the weapon drop table, with a 1 in 100 chance to get a specific weapon. So these weapons, these tier 95 weapons, are more common than the book. Than the books. And that's just normal mode. When you go to hard mode, it becomes 1 in 40 and 1 in 80 for the weapons. And 1 in 80 and 1 in 160 for the books. The boss pet is 1 in 400 on normal and 1 in 240 on hard mode, which has a threshold of 80. So, for example, when you hit 80 kills, your pet chance will then become 2 in 400 or 1 in 200 instead of 1 in 400. That's how thresholding works in the game. And the Shard of Genesis, which is 1 in 80, that's the item that upgrades to tier 100. And that's the thing that people were talking about with this as soon as it landed. It's like, how common are these tier 95 wands? How common is this tier 100 upgrade? You see, Jagex is doing something different here with this drop table. And I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is that this is an experiment, just like how they experiment with drop tables on different bosses. This is an experiment to see what happens if they make the key drops, like the wand and the shard and what have you, more common, so that, you know, people don't necessarily need to hunt it for as long, drawn out times as they typically do, and then worry about whether or not they're going to need bad luck mitigation on a boss. I'm here for this.
Yeah, something that struck me just looking at the breakdown was just what a minute chance you have of getting anything good in PVM for, you know, in this game. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a, you talk about gambling, man. PVM, that's the ultimate gamble of your time. That's what I've always said. Like, for me, it's totally, well, not totally unrelated, but a skilling boss would be a risk of my XP. You know, like an XP pool, and if you win, you hit big rate for that hour. You lose, wah, wah, wah. Huge sad trombone. Because that's what PVM is. Now, I wouldn't want it to be like this, because I don't know, it feels like.
And this is
one of the rush.
This is one of the more generous ones out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not wired this way. I don't know.
And see, that's the thing. And I think that's what one of the wider problems is with RS. Is that over time, you get somebody in here who's played ESO as an example, and I use this because both you and I have played that, Tannis.
Mm-hmm.
These drop rates are ludicrous to anybody coming from ESO. Because if you want, for example, like the top meta DPS set or healer set, or the one-button sorcerer magic set that we got you set up with, you have that in an afternoon in ESO, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And there should be and that's my point with RuneScape drop rates, is there should be no reason that you either have to bang your head against a wall and do a boss hundreds of times to get the thing to the point where the items is worth billions that you can't get it. If I wanted to go out and grind these tier 95 wands, this is a step in the right direction for that. There is, in my view, a high enough skill ceiling on the hard mode side of Nakatra to prevent things like the shard from becoming too common. And I think this is a good first step for anybody out there who wants to get into the magic style. We need more bosses like this that do this for ranged and melee to insert their items into the game, specifically how they did with normal mode here. Because it's a step in the right direction. Things aren't as common as I'd like it, but it's a step in the right direction. And to just recap to everybody how the system in ESO works, let's take, for example, this, let's just look at, for example, a build that you can use that's basically one-button sorcerer magic gameplay there. You run a series of dungeons, which are, 15, 20-minute ventures. You run them with a group of 4 people. You run them 3 or 4 times. You're going to have everything you need to go in and get a set of armor and have a neat set effect with it that allows you to do normal mode and game PVM just fine. And that's a level of accessibility. And I don't think you bring new people from outside of RS into the PVM ecosystem if you make them run up against a wall and kill something, 2,500, 2,000 times to complete the log. And then after that, the other option is buying something, for 2 or 3 bill. I don't think you do it that way. I think the step and the direction that Nakatra and the Sanctum took is a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my piece on the matter. And
go further.
Yeah, I'd say go further than what we had here. I don't know, Pern, do you have any specific thoughts in terms of commonality?
No. I just wonder if you sort of went like a hard drop rate. So, if you, as you say, in normal mode, your Roar of Awakening is a 1 in 50 drop. So at 50 kills, you will get a drop. And you sort of roll on 1 through 49. You might get a second one.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something like that where it's a guaranteed drop if you hit that threshold. I would like to see something like that. So okay, worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to kill 50 to get the drop, but I might get lucky and hit one at 5 or 10 or 15 kills. But at 50, I am guaranteed a drop.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing. At that point, you start to question, are you doing PVM for the money? Or are you doing it because it's fun, right?
And
exactly. A lot of people who
PVM, it's fun.
Who want to see the drop rates be more traditional in this regard are doing it for the money.
Well, see,
and doing other PVM stuff for the money. But
for me, it's not
my
so much
thing
the money.
Is that is it fun? Because if it's fun, the money shouldn't matter.
For me, it's not so much the money. It's just that I want to click it off the drop logs and things like that. They're the things that I hunt for. So, I don't want to sit there and have to kill something, 700 times when it's got a drop rate of, 1 in 100, or I'm just having really bad luck to tick it off.
Yeah, and if you compare this to Carapac hard mode, as an example, each of the 3 staff pieces there are 1 in 450.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, so that's just a level of, comparison in terms of how much difference we have in the two-handed magic weapon at tier 95 versus the wands at tier 95. So, but
and what's the cost difference?
That's a good question. Because each of these wands is now, I think, around 100 mil a pop. Whereas if the wiki prices are to be believed, each Carapac piece is anywhere between 550 and 800 mil.
Yeah, so it's still basically over max cash for a staff, where it's 200 mil basically for
the wands.
Yeah.
And you see the difference there.
Yeah.
So. And I think this is an interesting discussion because you know what it also does is it moves so nicely into what was being talked about with the Masterwork two-handed weapon that came out a few weeks back with binding and smithing. Because the big talk there was that you put this tier 100 sword out and there's no set effect with it. There's no special attack on it. And it was interesting because there was a post that was put out by Mod Breezy on this in terms of what the future of the Masterwork two-handed sword is. And he said in his post, our intentions were to create a modest and accessible weapon, and we can see the clear desire for new rewards like this to satisfy more. Internally, we've been discussing the strategy for 110s going forward and what impact they would need to have upon being introduced into the game. Some of these conversations have resolved around the design of the game and current metas or economic standings, while others have been with the combat team and coordinating our plans on future updates. But what does this mean for you? We realize that the desire for items like the Masterwork two-handed sword to have more reasons to be obtained and plan to add something to it in the future to increase its desirability. What form this will take, we're not 100% sure on, but we plan to incorporate this into the Masterwork ranged weapon coming with 110 woodcutting and fletching later this year. We then want to treat the Masterwork two-handed sword in the same way to ensure consistency and so you know what to expect with these updates. So it's been heard. I think the point of feedback has been heard that they needed to add something to that sword.
Yep.
On our episode that we did about 110 mining and smithing, there was a good comment by somebody whose name I'm forgetting right now, basically said that the 110 mining and smithing gave him this Masterwork two-handed sword, and it's the exact same sort of sword that he can give to his dad. Because looking into it, it's going to have higher stats than the Zuck sword. It's going to be a lot cheaper to obtain. And when it comes to all the nitty-gritty stuff involved with the Zuck sword spec, somebody like that doesn't need it. So, and that's kind of what we said as well, is that the Masterwork two-handed sword is really a sword for the average RuneScape player.
It's for me.
And that's the exact same thing that I thought. And, the only thing, I think the reason you wouldn't want to use it with Slayer is the areas where you'd want something with a bigger range, like a Scythe or a Halberd or the Lanicaeus.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But again, even if it was limited in what perks you could put on, but just do like Slayer perks on it, Demon Slayer, Undead Slayer, those Dragon Slayer type of perks. You may not have to have Precise 6 and all those on it, but it just needs something. Maybe Masterwork two-handed, and you can sort of add a Dragonbane ore to it, so it's stronger against dragons, or abyssal ore to it, so it's stronger against the abyssal creatures.
Yeah, so like bacon,
it just
like
needs
an invention
a little
perk or something.
Yeah, just something to give it a little bit of a wow factor type thing. Yeah, a little something.
A little shake. Yeah.
When it came to the primal equipment, they said this was intended to be the training method for 110 smithing, keeping consistent with the design structure of the mining and smithing rework, like Elder Rune. But following feedback,
is it that good? XP?
Yeah.
Yeah, XP
you can burial it.
Yeah, it's better than Elder.
Okay. Damn.
And expensive. It's a good moneymaker prior to double XPs. Just like we talked about in the past, rather than selling number 5s, sell number 3s or number 4s on the exchange prior to double XP, and you'll be raking the money in.
Shit, I got my Cribloom from hard work, sweat, tears in the artist's
That's
workshop.
how you did it.
That is.
Yeah. But they wanted the primal to have a more substantial purpose. They want to address this in the future, as JMod Such a Sponge have previously talked about, and they recognize the need to add something to primal armor in the more immediate future to set it apart for now. So in a future update, the armor will be updated, and this may include adding a life point boost or similar benefit.
Yep. Or a damage reduction.
Honestly, I didn't expect them to do this. I didn't expect them to do this to Primal and the Masterwork two-handed.
The two-handed, I would have expected something, but the armor, because it is more of a training method, I would have expected to be left as is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
Right, and it all comes back again to that exact same discussion in terms of how accessible do you want things to be in game. I think Necromancy did a really good job with making armor and weapons accessible to everybody, and I think that's what's needed in the other combat styles.
Could you imagine if you did primal armor, rather than just a life boost, if it had something like the Crypt Bloom where you make those primal, I forgot the name of them. The little artifacts you make 1,000 of, do those, and it basically just keeps adding to your life points and keeps you alive, like Crypt Bloom sort of does.
I mean, it would provide a different niche for melee aside from being the glass cannon
exactly
style.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just to make it a sort of a niche type thing. But you have to spend money to do it. You have to make the,
obviously.
What are they? I forgot the name of them. The primal. Sorry.
No, that's
Don't
fine.
kill me now.
They also have said when it comes to some things like future 110 updates, they're already incorporating these ideas into it, like better onboarding for players with the update, or signposting about where to start things like upgrading tools. That was our biggest complaint with this, wasn't it?
Yep. And armor spikes is what I was thinking of, something like that.
Yeah, well, armor spikes have their own unique problem.
Yes, yeah, but they have something
flash.
Else. Yeah, make something else that you use to sort of just give you a crippling type effect.
Yeah.
Sorry, anyway.
Also, they're going to, account for moments where they plan to direct players to content like shooting stars. Yeah, that was painful the first few hours.
Yeah.
Yep, sure did, didn't you guys?
Other positive learnings they want to take on revolve around player feedback and enjoyment with the creation process of the Masterwork two-handed sword and the pickaxe of life and death, as well as now having parallel goals such as mining with the attuned moonstone to help make things more engaging and enjoyable. Apparently people want more of that, and here we thought it might have been too random.
Oh, well, how about this, guys? Next time, temple trekking.
Shut up. Shut up. That's
how much you like it then.
That's the stupidest thing I've heard in this north of 1,000 on this show.
I'll back you in that, Tannis, and I'll go even further and add what's that other place Shane hates in the desert, the tower,
The Dominion Tower.
Dominion Tower. We'll do something in there as well.
Yep.
But no, I mean, I enjoyed the work we had to do too for the pickaxe license, like attuning the moonstone and such.
It still feels like it was too random. The items.
It was a little random, but I just feel you need to just direct people to the person who speaks about it, so you know what you have to do straight away, rather than just having to guess that, hey, everything's happening over here in Daemonheim, but I've got to go and speak to someone over in Ice Mountain first before. As I said, I was chasing stars before someone said, "Have you spoken to the guy?"
Right. Aye.
So we don't want complete hand holding, but we just want a little bit of an actual guidance.
I mean, overall, I think my biggest shock is that they're planning on incorporating something like that into both the sword and the armor, and I do wonder what the PVM community is going to say about that on the other side, given the previous source of a tier 100 sword was Zuck plus the upgrade from Sanctum. So the question is it going to be an upgrade that is, usable for PVM, or is it going to be something only the Slayer folks want?
And as I said, I mean, if it's, it'll be okay in PVM, but your Zuck's going to be better, but it's going to be much better for Slayer, where you don't need the Zucks.
Or is it going to incorporate into the entire repertoire of PVM, melee, high-tier switches?
But if it kept a masterwork theme, it would go in the Slayer route. And that would be pretty badass.
That's actually a good point. But people do use the Masterwork Spear in PVM sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So, and see, I don't have an issue with Masterwork being the weapons that are best for Slayer. I think that's a really neat idea.
Well, the armor is the best, so I mean.
But could you imagine attuning them to certain creatures as well? So you'll end up making a couple of different sets because you want one that's going to attune to your dragons, ones that are going to attune to your demons, one that'll attune to undead.
And one to rule them all.
That could be like the ultimate Masterwork pyramid on the top of it all. Combine them all together.
The Masterwork whip.
Okay, that went off better than I thought it would. All things considered there with that, and with that, I think the through line on all of this, at the end of the day, looking at the Sanctum drop rates and just putting Osseous and the Daemonheim archaeology stuff in a vacuum, you look at all this. I think making the combat gear stuff more accessible to players at the end of the day is a good thing to get more people into combat. I think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and God bless you if you can.
What?
God bless you if you can. I just think it's really hard. Is it like? See, when I like I said, I think it's a minuscule chance, and then when I think of me doing it, I'm like, oh man. That just went to a snowball.
And therefore you getting a tier 100 sword is a good thing.
Absolutely, because I can grind it.
Or having persistent safe deaths in Sanctum on normal if you want to do magic and grind out the wands.
Yeah.
So there we have it. Let's just move on to some patch notes quickly before we start wrapping things up, specifically in the mining and smithing camp again. Added map links to the Abyssal Demon resource dungeon southeast of the Slayer Tower, as well as the Calgurian resource dungeon on the southwest Daemonheim Peninsula, as well as added the mining site icon to the Calgurian resource dungeon. But here's perhaps the biggest one. Move the Prometheum rocks near the resource dungeon entrance southeast of the Daemonheim Peninsula, one tile to the west, so the click zones are less likely to intersect.
Yes, that was annoying.
They rolled the health of shooting stars back to their original amount. And mining bonus XP at Barbarian Assault now gives appropriate XP from levels 100 to 110.
The Shooting Stars one will make Australian people very happy.
Why is that?
I think I mentioned last week a couple of people who were hunting them found a size 8 or 9 star and couldn't complete it in the
right.
2 hours.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah. Oopsie.
That was quite fun.
Yeah.
The words that were coming out of their mouths.
Yeah, and then just some hot fixes and a bunch of engine fixes. Android crash fixed on their mobile client. Improved the visual stability of water and improved VFX performance somewhere, somehow. Alrighty, let's do some achievements then, as we're to that point of the show. So starting off, we have Lord Zorik with 99 Hunter on the 28th. Also on the 28th, we have Tiztok Rex with 120 Thieving. Edict got 99 Mining on the 27th, and Lord Zorik again with 99 Prayer.
And moving on to August 26th, we have Lord Zorik again with 99 Fletching. August 23rd saw Medge Quest hit 120 Slayer. And August 22nd, we have Warwick with 120 Agility. Congratulations all.
Nicely done, everyone. Nicely done. What have we been up to in RS? Let's start with you, Pernasius.
Myself, pretty much got everything to 199 mil.
Ooh.
So spent a ton of time at Abyssal Beasts in the wilderness there. A couple of times people just come and crash and drop a cannon on me, so had to hop a couple of worlds. World 50,
cannon, boo.
Yeah, be glad it's not
was a
PvPers.
godsend.
Be glad it's not PvPers or the random bullshit that was there.
I wouldn't be out there if PvP was still a thing out there.
Yeah.
So switching.
Well,
that
even
off
the
is the best
random,
thing.
demon nonsense that appeared. I know, Tanis, I sent you out there once to test something.
Yeah, that sucked.
I got killed a couple of times by those things where it's hang on, but so now you can just AFK. So that was nice and easy. So this week next week we should be reading out all my 200 mils. Fingers crossed. And then I'll be getting back into PVM and achievement chasing.
Nice. Make sure we have enough people on the show to spread that apart. As for me this week, I have been back doing PVM stuff, but not Sanctum of Rebirth. Hard mode Carapac is the thing that is being mastered now. You'll know that, when Necromancy came out and we had a free Death Week, I went there and did it a few times relatively easily, but I can report now at this point in time that it comes to a fact that I'm able to actually get through this boss fight relatively easily now on hard mode.
Very nice.
Get it, Shane.
And the huge milestone, of course, with that, for people who are listening to the podcast back in 2021, it's that Carapac normal mode was my first PVM boss. And I started off getting 7-minute plus kills on normal mode, and now I'm getting sub 5 minutes on hard mode. And, you have to factor... you have to factor in, of course, things like Necromancy, right? I know we've joked before that Necromancy has made a lot of things easier and throws into the question of some things on the relevant scale and all that, but it still feels good to be doing that. And just all I think the thing that perhaps annoyed me the most with PVM this week was it just came time to restock. I was at a point where I needed more jellyfish. I needed to combine my jellyfish. I needed more adrenaline potions. Both rune pouches, the Necromancy rune pouch and the regular rune pouch, were empty. Some items were getting low on charge, and I needed some more divine charges at the end of the day. And you're in the middle of the boss fight, and your divine, your blessed flask is run out. So it was also just a week to kind of do all that, housekeeping stuff of filling everything up and whatnot. But that's been me this week on here. So, how about you, Tennis?
Cool. In RuneScape, I have come back to doing a little wood cutting, and realized I didn't know what the best wood cutting was. If it would be elders. I knew the meta had changed a long time ago. And I also remembered, with
The
under right
Woodcutter's Grove.
circumstances. Right. Wait, Woodcutter's Grove.
Yeah, that brought in the Imkando hatchet last year.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I've got the hatchet, but
Yeah.
are you gonna do? I was figuring out elders, like I said, under the right circumstances. I think idols are viable.
Yeah, I think idols are viable anywhere from the 60s to early 90s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean-
elders are the best.
Yeah, so doing a little bit of that, but most importantly, I was reminded of not only my love of rock, but my love of a certain band and my love of my adopted countrymen.
Adopted.
You know,
Well, he's the
Well-
number one Aussie
yeah,
on here now. So
Oh, okay.
right. So
Yeah.
I'm an adopted son, right? So
that's it.
and since I'm probably, let's face it, I don't know if I'll ever be able to make it. That's my new number one dream destination. But beside the point, I went to a concert. It was a AC/DC tribute band called Thunderstruck. And I know what some people's experiences with cover bands or tribute bands,
They can be
this
rather
one-
cheesy.
Yeah, nah. They were really, really good. Like, they were really good. They looked the part. I mean, Angus he exuded just the fun that you see in the videos, of AC/DC back in the day. And it's freaking AC/DC, man. Fucking
Were you in Ontario for that?
No.
Okay, because I'm just looking on their website and they got a lot of dates listed for Ontario.
Yeah, they go all over.
Okay.
They're called Thunderstruck, and they call themselves America's AC/DC. And I mean, look, they're the closest we're ever gonna get, right? Probably. But it was just so fun. That's my pick. If you are anywhere where you can catch them, they're an
I wonder if I'm on the right
unbelievably good
website
tribute.
for this.
I hope so.
Thunderstrucklive.com?
I mean, they are. We'll get these links all.
Yeah, we'll sort out the links. I don't know if I'm on the right
Hold on.
website. You can tell me after the show if I got the right one there for that.
Funny. Okay, hold on. Funny aside, when I was telling my wife, oh, and my boss, by the way, that I had tickets to Thunderstruck, they both were like, "Why are you going to a Mel review?" And I'm like, "No,
To a what?
no. It's
If
an
they were thinking of a fun-
AC/DC tribute band." They're like,
They're
"Oh."
thinking Thunder from Down Under.
I
Oh.
was like, "Oh, what?" Yeah, both of them. Why you going to a Mel? I'm not going to it. Yeah. It was so cool, man. Though I mean, they had their moves down. They sounded like them. It was definitely live. You know what I mean. The guy that was playing Angus just shredded. So had a really good time. Was wearing my East Side. Made it just made everything better. It was great. So
So you weren't wearing your schoolboy uniform?
I was not. But it was funny, man, to look around me and like everyone, like I'm kind of young, right? In this crowd, like most people are a little bit older than me, or a lot older than me. But they all had the metal horns and the AC/DC shirts. They're rocking. I'm like, yeah, rock out.
I will admit that is not my thing. That is not my thing, but I am glad you had fun with it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Well, are you more of a classical guy, Shane? I could see you being captivated by a nice pianist or something.
Not necessarily. Not
Okay.
necessarily, no. I don't
Do
listen.
you
I don't listen to music.
like nature sounds? What do you?
I mean, you could go with that.
You don't just listen to the voices in your head, do you? So you gotta use something to drown that shit out, right?
No.
What's wrong
no.
with the voices in your head?
Yeah, they tell me what to do, and they tell me how to make podcasts for 1,000+ episodes.
Well, I guess if it worked. Yeah. So yeah, that's my pick, and it was awesome.
Right
Get a
on.
chance. No.
Sounds good. Check the URL I sent you on Discord if that's the right one, and if not, we'll correct it in the notes after the fact and update.show. But that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's episode, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed us for this discussion that we had here as we move on into September next week. It's going to be a big month. September's going to be a big month for the game. We got the 4th Conjure next week. Then 2 weeks after that, we have a quest, and then the week after that, a skilling boss. So it's going to be a big month. Big month. But to sign up and get the shows delivered as soon as they're available to you, update.show/subscribe. We're on all the podcast listeners out there, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Pocket Casts, and more. Just visit update.show/subscribe and pick your favorite one. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANDB. But that brings us to the end of the episode. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. And, of course, to the listeners for listening along to this. Let us know what you think about our takes on the monetization aspect of value for membership and even drop tables and whatnot. But we'll be back next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. Thanks again to the both of you for being here as well. See you then, everyone. Take care.
Yeah.
Happy Skyping all.